the west side as well. Seattle is expecting some 90-plus degree heat themselves as well. So let's cover our local area here in Spokane at 96 degrees, the expected high temperature. Again, just one of our hotter days that we've had recently, and still in that threshold of about 10 degrees above average. The average 86, so yeah, exactly 10 degrees above average. Not exactly record highs, because the records through the summer season, especially July and August, tend to be at about 100 and above most days. So not quite to that threshold, but closer to that than not, it certainly seems. So that's where we stand for our almanac on this 11th day of August. But let's take a look at what's called the urban heat island effect. So when we forecast temperatures, even if you're seeing that not only here on KREM 2, but even if you're looking at that app on your phone, it's just going to show you kind of what it's trying to match like the official high temperature, which is recorded out at Spokane International Airport in this case. That is in a much more kind of rural-ish area. So with my forecast at, let's say, about 95 degrees, realize that any location that is a bit more urban, more concrete, more asphalt, more blacktop, less trees, all that makes a big difference, not just in terms of how it feels, but it does actually affect the air temperature on that micro scale. So you look at a downtown area, and it can be as much as 10 degrees hotter simply because of all of the concrete and all the buildings and the lack of the trees and vegetation. So do take that into consideration. So again, say downtown Spokane might really feel like it's about 105, especially areas like Spokane Valley, which do tend to run maybe a degree or two hotter even than just Spokane, especially compared to the official observation. So that's just a point of emphasis that on these hottest days, it really can feel a whole lot hotter even compared to just what the forecast and the observed temperatures are ultimately going to be. By the way, 95 degrees would be 95 in the shade over grass. If you're in the sunlight and on the blacktop, it's going to be way hotter than that. So the big picture here is just this huge ridge in the jet stream. I've mentioned this all the time in the summer season. When we find ourselves underneath this, it gets hot, and it tends to lock in that heat for a few days with the high pressure region still off the coast, but really anchoring where it is. We'll say this isn't exactly the strongest ridge I've seen. There's actually quite a bit of some storm systems that are riding along this and really trying to dig in. And as it digs in, it will eventually move that jet stream closer to us and mark the end of the heat wave by the end of the week. But not before we get another crack at some of our hottest days. Last month, we got to 97 degrees on the 13th and the 30th. The forecast tomorrow is at 97 degrees for Spokane. So again, going to match that mark. 97 has not been the hottest it's been in the last several years here because we have been able to get to that 100-degree mark. But to have several days this hot is still, mighty uncomfortable at minimum. So here's tomorrow's forecast. Again, 97. Any of the triple digits are most likely going to be across central Washington, really ranging from Omak to the Tri-Cities. Remember, urban heat island effect adds on top of just what the forecast is going to be. So for the rest of the first half of the week, today, Tuesday, and Wednesday are all going to be hot days. Wednesday, the least of it, because we do eventually get a cold front that passes through. Not till super late at night, though. In fact, the time frame here is 11 p.m. on this particular image. So the day before is still going to be hot, but as this cold front passes, yes, it will give us relief from the heat, but it is also going to throw some extra wind our way. It looks like Wednesday is going to be a breezy day, and you know what that means. If it's dry and hot and breezy, fire danger could very well be elevated. The forecasted wind speeds are in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range through most of the inland northwest as that storm front drops into the region. At the moment, we're not calling for an alert day on Wednesday just yet, but monitoring the situation. If there's a bit more consistency or if the wind speeds dial up even more compared to the current forecast, I think it will be very much worthy that we ultimately get a red flag warning and our weather impact alert day. But for now, just realize that Wednesday we are monitoring the situation for wind and high fire danger. But in the meantime, the alert days are for today and tomorrow, the hottest of days that you're going to find. Just another very typical summer-like week of weather for this mid-August, just kicking things off at 96, 97 degrees for the first 2 days this week. So again, heat advisories for a pair of days, and then Wednesday we could be under an alert day if the fire danger gets to those critical levels due to the breezy conditions. The relief comes on Thursday. The heat will subside back into the low 80s for Thursday and Friday. So that is looking excellent. Should be very pleasant and comfortable. But in the meantime, just make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you stay cool. Make sure you have access to air conditioning, and make sure that all of your family members and friends have working AC on a day like today and tomorrow, as heat advisories go through this Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Thanks for tuning in on KREM 2 Plus for this weather live stream. I'll see you later today at the KREM 2 News at noon, and you can always stay connected at KREM.com.